A remarkable recovery for a 12-year-old boy in Westchester County who struggles with medical challenges. Brandon Pineda has spent the last 8 months recovering from a heart transplant and a stroke. He will finish the 6th grade this month and will be ready to return to his community school. Brandon currently attends Mount Pleasant Blythedale School, where he has a medical oversight team while also receiving comprehensive therapies daily and returning home at night. Blythedale Children's Hospital is the only hospital in New York State with its own public school district on site. And joining us now with more is Dr. Divya Lakhani from Blythedale Children's Hospital. And Dr. Lakhani, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, how is Brandon doing right now?
Oh, Brandon's doing remarkably. We're really excited that he's graduating and will be going back to his community school soon.
Well, he's had quite a medical journey. We were talking about a heart transplant and a stroke. Can you talk about some of the challenges he faced during his recovery?
For sure. Brandon's had a really challenging childhood altogether. He was born with something called heterotaxy, where his organs are malpositioned. And in particular, his heart had multiple congenital abnormalities and required multiple surgeries before his transplant. Unfortunately, he had a stroke after one of those procedures, and his heart failed. And luckily, he was able to get a transplant last year and has been doing really remarkably since then.
Oh, that is so good to hear. He's got to be a strong kid. I think one thing that is just so fascinating, it's quite incredible that your hospital has its own public school district. That just doesn't happen. First of all, how did that come about?
The Blythedale Children's Hospital has had this public school on site for many, many years, and it's really evolved over time. We're seeing children like Brandon who have a lot of chronic medical conditions who struggle with places to go, whether it's after a procedure like this or just because of their chronic medical needs. And this program has really been able to fill the gap for many of those patients.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit more about, when it comes to Brandon, talking about that integration of medical care and educational support? I'm sure it must have helped him in his recovery, right?
Oh, most definitely. For a child like Brandon who receives a heart transplant, patients like that are immunocompromised, right? And so they really shouldn't be in large settings where they're exposed to lots of viruses. So under any other circumstance, Brandon would have been home after his transplant, receiving homeschooling and whatever therapies he could get in his home. We were really lucky that we were able to advocate for Brandon to come here where he can be in school, be around his peers, and receive therapies and receive his medical care. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, it's so great because your mind actually gets off the recovery and you're thinking about school, and it allows you to just stay focused on education and staying really on track despite everything that you're going through. So,
exactly.
Right. Go ahead, please, Doctor.
Oh, I was going to say that, Brandon has done so well and he's able to graduate this year, which wouldn't have happened in any other circumstance.
So how does the hospital's feature of having its own public school district on site benefit children like Brandon who are undergoing just these intensive medical treatments?
For someone like Brandon, I think what was particularly helpful is that we were able to really liaise with his cardiac team at his hospital. Mm-hmm. And so as they were making changes, we were able to make the changes while he was here in program and monitor him. So things like his blood pressure, any symptoms he was having, we were able to relate that in real time to his team at his other hospital, which I think doesn't happen in any other program or community school that I know of. And on top of that, he was able to get really intensive therapies, which really has helped with his deconditioning and is allowing him to go back to his community school where he can function just like every other child.
Yeah, which is so important. And lastly, Doctor, do you have any advice or insights to other parents whose children are going through, serious medical conditions like this as Brandon?
What I would say is that children are resilient. I see it every single day, and Brandon is no exception to that. I think they're fighters, and with the right services in place, they can really do anything, as we've seen today with Brandon. And so I think just keep at it and remember that they are much stronger than we think they are.
Yes, they are. Okay. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. And it was great to hear about Brandon. And I love what you guys are doing at the hospital, helping kids in so many ways, not just medically, but educationally. Thank you again.
Thank you.